Hello and welcome to episode 96 of the Mouse Makes Knitting podcast. My name is Mandy, sometimes known as Mouse. This is Miss Poppy, my co-host. Wait, we're on. Stop washing. Look, people are here already. No manners, I do beg your pardon. I'm going to begin with an apology. Shop update last Wednesday. Did the shop update, went on Zoom, spent a couple of hours chatting, laughing, knitting. Came off Zoom ready to go to bed. And Dave, who was already in bed, said, "Oh, that's good, 4 of your new colourways have sold out already." And I went, ha ha ha. No, seriously? No, they can't. I was kind of like, no, darling, they can't, because they're dyed to order, so there's an unlimited supply. Look, he went, yeah, they were listed as sold out, because when I'd done the listing, I'd messed it up, essentially, and clicked the wrong box. So about 10:30 Wednesday night, I was on my computer frantically typing, changing it, and I did leave a message saying that if you'd come to the shop update, what you wanted was out of stock. It wasn't out of stock. It was what my brother calls, what does he call it? A 1D 10T error, an idiot error. I did it. Yeah, so if you looked and thought what you wanted was out of stock, it isn't. Please look again. Very sorry. I'll try and do better. Anyway, you may have noticed I finished something. I finally finished my Advent wrap. Oh, I'm going to show you like this. Sorry, it's black and white. It's the Advent wrap by Hiris Makes, linked below as always. And I mentioned last week that if you're watching on your television, if you press the up on your remote, it brings up a line and the title. Click on the title and you'll be able to see the description. Spoilt my train of thought there, did you notice? I'm recording a lot earlier than I normally would do because today's Tuesday as I'm recording this, and it is my friend Caroline's birthday, and we're going to have a birthday cast on Zoom in a minute. So I wanted to get this done first because there's every likelihood that I will be on Zoom for quite some time today. Right, back to what I was talking about. I haven't had time to prepare myself mentally, can you tell? I finished this. It is knit in my Advent from Amanda at Little Lycac Yarns. The colours are absolutely beautiful. I'm going to put in a picture, maybe a couple of pictures here, so that you can see what it looks like in all its glory, because I'm not getting up and turning around, and I'm just not doing it. I've already been up and down out of this chair about 15 times, trying to figure out whether the light is better with the blind open or closed, the top light on or off, the lamp on or off. And this is the best I can manage, so the answer to that is none of the above. Anyway, as I knit it, you knit 2 sides. I did them concurrently. So I took each 20-gram mini and I split them for each side. Then when I'd used what I needed to, because it didn't use the full 10 grams on each side, I put the remainder into 2 Russian knot balls. My plan being, I was going to knit some socks. However, bearing in mind it was like randomly in half, I now have 2 balls. There are one just above 75 grams and one just below 75 grams, which is an awful lot for a sock. And I really want to get the whole range of colours in each whatever it is I make. So I'm wondering now whether socks are the best idea. I don't know. I don't think I use 75 grams for a sock. If I just knit the leg longer to use up the yarn, it's probably not going to fit around my chubby little legs. So I'm wondering really whether I'd do better just to do like arm warmers. I might do that. So there was a fair amount left, and I don't just want to stick it into a scrappy project. I want to do something with it so that I can enjoy the colours at a time when I'm not wearing this as well. So I think that's excuse me. Sorry. Apologies. It's not COVID, it's hay fever. I've had my tablet, but I opened a window and now, I don't know, well, you probably can't tell, my eyes are really wet. My nose is running and I've got a bit of a cough. I don't think my tablet's working very well. But the fields all around us are full of oilseed flowers, and it's like a pollen bomb out there, to the point where I don't dry clothes outside even on a lovely sunny day like this, because they just come in full of pollen and then make everybody cough and sneeze. So I've been very distracted already, and I've only shown you the first thing. Good grief. Right, Eyelet burst shawl. No, wrong bag. Eyelet burst shawl. I'm on the third colour. No, I'm not. I'm on the fourth colour. I almost feel like I should stop this and start again, but I haven't got time. You'll have to bear with me. It's one of those days. You should be used to that by now. So, I'd come out. Let me show you it before I show you the yarn. It's tricky. Oh gosh, now the colour's really not going to show up very well because of the light. So, I've got 2 rows of the fourth colour in there. You can't see very well. So the section that was just the third colour on its own was only that. Wow, no, you can't see. This is a very bad podcast today. It's only this long. It blended in for that long, and then probably less than that number of rows for it on its own. If you're planning to make one of these, it's the Eyelet Burst by Stephen West. I don't know if I said that. I don't think I did. I feel like I didn't. That might be worth bearing in mind when you choose your colours. If there's one that you particularly want to showcase, I would say put it at the beginning or at the end, because the 2 in the middle, I suppose this one's not so bad, the second colour, but the third colour there was really only a tiny bit of, because the shawl is so big by then. So leftover wise, I know where they are. I've put them in my C2C bag ready to make a square. Leftover wise, I had, I'm sure I wrote it down, yes, of colour A, which is the pink, I had 9.66 grams left of 100, and colour 2, which is the pink and turquoise stripes, I had 11.12 grams. So you could average and say 10 grams of each colour left. Not a great deal. I've reached a point now where I know I'm nearly finished, and I don't want to finish because I can't cast another one on straight away because I've got other things to come off the needles, and I've spent a lot of time knitting on this because it was so enjoyable. And if I cast on another one, I'm just going to knit that and not the things I'm supposed to be knitting. So I'm going to make myself wait. And I've just remembered something else that I haven't written down, and I'm going to tell you now while I remember it, because I will inevitably forget again. Tomorrow, as you're watching this, is our members only Zoom. If you are a member, you will have the details. 8 PM, last Thursday of the month. Hadn't written that down, and I know I needed to say it. I'm all over the place today. Maybe I need coffee. I almost certainly need coffee. Ewan's up, but he's not offered me coffee yet. I could go down and get it, but I'm trying to do this, and I'm trying to get it done in time that I won't be late for Zoom. Anyway, this is just the worst rubbish podcast ever. So that's what we've got so far. Probably by the time you see this next week, it will be finished, and I will be sad, but also happy because I have a lovely new shawl. It's one of those situations. The yarn I'm using, I better tell you about that. The first three were all my own. So there was the pink, didn't have a name, was just like, Dave calls it Rinky Dink. It's to do with the Pink Panther and some wafer biscuits, but we won't go there. The turquoise and pink striped was kind of a bubblegum colourway that I had, but then took out the shop because it was too similar to one that Alex has. So I didn't think that was fair, so I took it out the shop. Third colour was my Year of Yarn colourway April, which you can't see because the light is appalling. Let me see if the trick I did last week works again. Oh, kind of. Yeah, so that's April. And then the last colour, the one that I'm just starting on, is this beautiful colour from Amanda at Little Lycac. And this is called Farmhouse. It was a one-of-a-kind colourway that she did for me for Christmas. And I think it might be the prettiest colour in the whole world. So that's where we are with that. I'm stifling a cough again. Right, what else did I have to show you? I'm going to show you not the next thing because I forgot to get it. So I'm going to show you the second. No, I'll forget it. I really should start again. I don't think I can be bothered. Can you stand it if I just keep on? You're going to have to. Right, come back this way a bit. Okay. Mini C2C. You may remember a couple of weeks ago I started this blanket because I had fallen in love with the Battenberg but did not trust myself to sew together 50 squillion, billion, trillion tiny squares. So I came up with this idea, which is a Battenberg-esque C2C blanket. I've put in quite a bit of squares, quite a few squares since you saw it last. I was here when you saw it last, so I've put in all of these. I'm working it diagonally, so I'm doing a row of coloured squares, a row of cream squares, a row of coloured squares. How long I'll keep on like that, I don't know, because it's going to get to the point where I've got to do like 100 cream squares, and I don't think I've got the patience for that, and I don't want to abandon it. So I might get to a certain width and then start building it up in strips. But this is where we are so far, and I'm very, very happy with it. I'm very pleased with it. I'm trying not to be too precious about which colours go where. I do have a habit of micromanaging stuff that should be random. I'm really not very good at random. So I am literally putting my hand in the box full of scraps, without looking, pulling out a scrap. And if it's too close, like the pink, and this one is actually pink, different pinks and orange, I don't care, I'm putting it in anyway. It's meant to be random, so I'm just letting the laws of physics choose for me. I'm not sure that's strictly speaking accurate, but you get what I mean. So that's the mini C2C, and it's a bit, what do they call it, potato chip knitting. You do one, you think, oh, I'll just do another couple, because they only take about 10 minutes each, including sewing in the ends, which I've done on every single square. You may have noticed. Aren't I a good girl? So that's the mini C2C. I've worked some more on my Sonnenstunden. From now on, when I choose to make a garment, I'm going to check I can say the name and the name of the designer before I cast it on. This is the Sonnenstunden by, bear with, I'm going to say Evie Knitwear because I keep butchering the poor woman's name and it's not really very fair. So this is the Sonnenstunden. Basically, it's a very plain stocking stitch tee, but it has a moss stitch panel on each raglan, and that carries on down the side of the tee. I've shown it to you a couple of times before on teeny weeny needles, and you couldn't really see what I was doing. You will be pleased to hear that it's now on a decent sized needle. Yet I still can't seem to manage to show it to you properly. Let's turn you around a bit again for maximum colour appreciation. It's still too dark. So I'm hoping you'll agree it looks a bit more like it's going to fit me at some point in the future. This is the neckline that was on the 9-inch needle. There is the correct number of stitches. My head will go through that hole. Let me squish it down to one end and you can perhaps see how the sleeve arrangement works. So this is a sleeve being formed there. So you can see that's the raglan that goes down either side. No, that's the moss stitch that goes down either raglan, front and back. It's really enjoyable to knit. Really, really enjoyable to knit. I don't think I'm going to mind even when I get onto the body, which is where I normally lose interest. I think a lot of us do, don't we? Because you've done all the interesting bit and now you're just going round and round. Well, this is going to have a bit of interest because you've still got the 2 moss stitch panels that go down the sides. So, highly recommend it. Part of what's making it so pleasurable to knit is the yarn that I'm using, which is Cascade Heritage, which is so soft and silky, but also is just such a stunning colour. The colour is, it's called Riviera Heather. It isn't. It's called Riviera Heather, and it's colour number 5745, and it is Cascade Heritage. I use this a lot, to be honest, Cascade Heritage. It's not wildly expensive, and I bought this yarn with a voucher that Ewan got me for Mother's Day, so it's kind of a treat anyway. I'm hoping I've got enough. Should have. But I hate caking up so much. I'm caking it up one skein at a time. So I did this one. I'm getting through it. So last night I caked up another one. But yeah. So hopefully you can see that a bit better. I'm not going to promise that next Try and decide which is the right side. The side I'm showing you. I've finally finished all the pink. Pink again was a skein of my own hand dyed, and I think it was sky blue pink. I think it was like a prototype of the sky blue pink. When I perfected it and put it in the shop, it had more of these purple speckles. You can see one just there. There aren't very many in this. You can kind of see them. You can see them better in real life. But I've moved on to, because I'm doing a rainbow, I'm doing pink and then purple. So the purple is a skein of iris. I really, really love this colourway. The purple that's in this colourway is probably my favourite purple. I don't know how well you can see it because of the light. Let me do the thing again. I don't know how well you can see, but there's a little bit of yellow and a tiny smidge of grey, and the purple is graduated. It's not as pinky as it looks there. But yeah, so this is the next colour, and I'm holding all the colours together with an undyed yarn, which gives you this lovely, thick, squashy. This is going to be a super blanket for taking naps underneath. And this I like to knit on an evening when I'm tired and I can't really concentrate. So it doesn't take a lot of concentration. So long as you remember, I can't say too much because it's a paid for pattern. As long as you remember which stitch to do. That's all I can say, really. I have messed up. I would not recommend messing up because fixing the stitches is somewhat challenging. In fact, when I messed up, it was shortly after I'd shown it to you last time, and that little skull marker is marking where I showed it to you last time. I couldn't fix it. I pulled it down and started again because it was just too hard. So I am making sure that I don't do that again because I don't want to have to try and pull it down again. There is considerably more of it now and I would be a bit cross. I'm just going to move this marker while I think of it. I've just realised that by turning you round so that you can see the colours a bit better, I have exposed the chaos that sits next to me. I should show you the rest of the colours really, shouldn't I? Let's whiz through them quick. Right, after the purple comes this one, which I dyed up specially to kind of, I didn't want solid colours. I wanted there to be, I'm calling it a grown-up rainbow, so it's not just a solid colour. So I've done this variegated blue and I've added in some of the purple that's in the iris. Following that is green. This is loud. Variegated green. I love this. And I didn't keep a note of how I did it. I just chucked stuff in the pan. So I don't think I can do it again. After that comes yellow. This is the only one that's not my own. This is by Amanda at Little Lycac, and it was her Thumbelina sock set last year, January last year, I think. So again, it's not a solid colour, it's a mixture, and it's got some lovely speckles and other colours in with it. After the yellow is orange. This is a skein of Sunshine, and this is oh, it's got a bit something stuck to it. A leaf. This is a prototype for the sunshine that's in the shop. So the one that's in the shop is a lot more orange than this. I love them both, to be honest. I like this one and I like the very orange one as well. And then for the red, rather than go for a solid red, I'm not really a red person, I've used this one, which is Passion, and it's a very pinky red. You could almost say it was a reddish pink. So those are all the colours. And I quite like the fact that it's going to finish with a pinky colour, much the same as it started. The only thing I'm not looking forward to, and I don't actually know if I'm going to do this, is that when you finish the blanket, let me turn you back. When you finish the blanket, you do an I-cord border all around it. Now this thing is going to be massive, so I may not do that. I might do a crab stitch border or something like that, something that will be less time and yarn consuming. Right, only one thing left to show you, and that's the thing that I'm rushing through this so that I can get to. We are having a cast on within the Zoom group. 4 of us are doing it. We decided, I think we were mean girls actually. Denise from Dear Designs was thinking of casting on a summer sorrel, and then she foolishly went away to answer the door or something, and while she was away, Caroline from Aria Bark and I decided that Denise should run a summer sorrel knit along for the 4 of us who were on, and we informed her of this when she returned, which she took in good heart and agreed that we should do it, and we should do it today, which is Caroline's birthday, and it will be her birthday cast on. So I'm sure you know what it looks like because lots of people have knit it. This is the summer sorrel. It has been in my list of things to do for a little while. I was a bit scared of it, I'm not going to lie. I know you probably think, oh, well, you've got a podcast and you knit loads. So it's true, I do. But I still suffer from the same, oh, I don't know, that's different and it looks weird and I don't know how it's done. So I'm a bit scared to cast that on. So I'm going to put on my big girl pants and cast it on. I have dyed up a fade for it. And I don't think you're going to be able to see this very well at all. I tried to photograph it and it just didn't work. If I pull out a little bit. So this is the first colour. I think you can just see one speck there. There are more speckles than are showing up, but for some reason the camera just won't pick them up. There's some orange and pink there. That's going to be the first colour. The second colour is this one, which again I don't think you can see very well. Let's try the trick. Is that better? Maybe a little bit. So that's the second colour. And then the third colour I've done 2 skeins of, because for my size it says you need 1,310 metres. So I think I'm going to need to go into a 4th ball. So I've done 2 of these. So they all use the same colours, but there's just increasingly more of them as you go through. So that's my fade. The 4th ball is exactly the same as this. So we'll see how we do. I will hopefully have something to show you next week, rather than just have been trying to cast on. It's got a bit of a unusual cast on, shall we say. Hopefully I'll have got past that bit by the time I see you next. I'm also a little bit anxious. There are video tutorials included in the pattern. I've watched them all because I'm a little bit anxious about changing the colours, they advise you, if you're going to do a fade, to have your second colour in before you divide for the armholes, so that you haven't got a line across your bust. So I'm a bit anxious about that, but we'll see what happens. The tutorials are pretty comprehensive. If you watch them, I'd say it's fairly idiot proof, and having proven with my shop update that I am an idiot, that's a good thing, isn't it? So we'll see. Hopefully have something to show you next week, and I promise it won't be on a 9-inch needle that you can't actually see what I'm doing. So it's a bit of a quick one today, and I know I've rushed through a little bit, but I haven't worked on a great deal of things other than the Eyelet burst, so at least I had some stuff to show you. And I'm going to go because I'm itching to cast on this new tea, and I will see you next week. Until then, happy knitting. I hope you have lovely weather. Today's beautiful. And I hope the hay fever isn't getting you as badly as it's getting me. So, that said, bye guys.